Ever wondered what an onto function is in mathematics? A function is labeled as onto, or in more technical terms, surjective, when every element in the codomain has at least one corresponding element in the domain. It's like a party where everyone gets at least one invitation. No one in the codomain is left out. To put this in mathematical terms, if we have a function f with domain x and codomain y, it's onto if for every y in y, there's at least one x in x such that fx equals y. Let's look at some examples to illustrate this. Take the function fx equals x squared. This is onto because every non-negative real number in the codomain has at least one real number in the domain that squares to it. For instance, the number 1 in the codomain has two corresponding elements in the domain, 1 and -1, both of which square to 1. Or consider the function fx equals sine of x. This function is also onto because every number between -1 and 1 in the codomain has at least one real number in the domain that maps to it. For instance, the number 0 in the codomain has an infinite number of corresponding elements in the domain, including 0, pi, 2pi, and so on. The function fx equals the absolute value of x is another example of an onto function. Every non-negative real number in the codomain has at least one real number in the domain that maps to it. For example, the number 1 in the codomain has two corresponding elements in the domain, 1 and -1, both of which map to 1 when their absolute value is taken. Now, not all functions are onto. For instance, the constant function fx equals 1 is not onto because the codomain consists of all real numbers, but the function only maps to the number 1. Similarly, the function fx equals x plus 1 is not onto because the number 0 in the codomain has no corresponding element in the domain. Onto functions play a crucial role in mathematics as they help define injective functions, which are functions that map distinct elements in the domain to distinct elements in the range. That is, if x and y are two different elements in the domain, then their outputs fx and fy are also different. So, onto functions ensure that every element in the codomain gets an invitation to the party, making sure no one is left out. They're a key concept in understanding how elements in different sets relate to each other.